The presidential aspirant of Labour Party during the 2023 presidential election, Mr. Peter Obi, in his keynote address during the graduation ceremony suggested that government should have a budget for each child in the school. The royal father of the day, His Royal Highness Emir of Dutse, Mohammed Sanusi, and Senator Neda Imasun of Edo South say education is the key for assuring better life for all. The chairman, Peace Center School, Abuja, Barrister Kenneth Imasubon, thanked everyone present and promised to do more for the education sector. The graduating class of 2023 shared their experience and excitement. High point of the event was the graduation ceremony, marked with hilarious moments and presentation of awards. Swabra Usman, Aso Radio News. The presidential aspirant of Labour Party during the 2023 presidential election, Mr. Peter Obi, in his keynote address during the graduation ceremony, suggested that government should have a budget for each child in the school.
Education is the most important thing any nation needs. In fact, it's been shown in various studies that what differentiates development and non-development is education.
The royal father of the day, His Royal Highness Emir of Dutse, Mohammed Sanusi, and Senator Neda Imasun of Edo South say education is the key for assuring better life for all.
Tuition fee. It is quite reasonable and it is affordable. That was when I knew my kids were going to pay centers. And I've never regretted sending them to pay centers. Thank you, please, for charity.
I think and I believe they are doing a very good job. And I know that with the caliber of children they are raising here, that will still have hope in this country. Children that will grow up to lead this country. And so I'm encouraged and I congratulate them.
The chairman, Peace Center School, Abuja, Barrister Kenneth Imasubon, thanked everyone present and promised to do more for the education sector.
The key to the future of our country, if Nigeria must attain its dream, its potential, its innate talents, then we must educate our children today for our future, for our tomorrow. What I've seen today in Abuja through the Pace schools says or tells the story of assurance. It reassures the strength of the Nigerian nation that if we get it right, it is better for all Nigerians.
Graduating class of 2023 shared their experience and excitement.
I feel very, very good. Like, I'm so happy. And especially because of the fact that I'm graduating from a school like Pace Setters. It's not easy at all, because as you've heard from most of the dignitaries, Pace Setters is the best. It's just the best. I can't even say the best in Nigeria, best in Abuja. It's just the best.
The learning environment in Pace College has been nothing but conducive and welcoming to me since the first day that I stepped my feet in Pace Setters. Though I'm happy to go, I will miss Pace Setters College.
High point of the event was the graduation ceremony, marked with hilarious moments and presentation of awards. Swabra Usman, ASU Television News.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to today's edition of the afternoon edition. My name is Isa Nu. Just yesterday, you remember the president made a broadcast where he tried as much as possible, or let me say he explained in detail what his policy is all about and how he can drive the economy. But then, before now, you must also have remembered what is happening in the ECOWAS region. And today, we'll be focusing more on the ECOWAS region, on how things have been playing out, most especially in Niger, our neighboring country. The Republic of Niger, a landlocked West African nation, has long been facing a complex array of challenges that continue to shape the socio-political landscape. With its vast Saharan expanse and a diverse population, the country's stability is closely linked to regional dynamics and international partnerships. The 27th of July coup d'etat in Niger only deepens the pattern of instability across Africa's Sahel and damages what has been a rare process of fairly steady democratic building in the region. Niger's democratically elected government has been a valued partner for Africa and international effort to stabilize the Sahel against its webs of insurgent, extremist movement and military coup. Security concerns, most especially in Niger Republic, has been grappling with serious security concerns, particularly due to the presence of terrorist groups in the Sahel region. Groups like Boko Haram, Islamic State in the Greater Sahara, that's the ISGS, and Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, Hakim, have been responsible for violence, kidnappings, and attacks on civilians and security forces. The instability in the region has resulted in loss of lives, displacement of communities, and hindered economic development. The security situation has exacerbated an already existing humanitarian crisis in Niger. The country has been dealing with food insecurity, malnutrition, and lack of access to basic services. The influx of internally displaced people and refugees from neighboring countries has put immense pressure on limited resources, and aid agencies have struggled to meet the growing needs. Niger has undergone political transitions over time, but there have been concerns about the governance issues, transparency, and corruption. The government's ability to effectively address security challenges and socio-economic development has been under scrutiny. Strengthening democratic institutions and promoting good governance are crucial steps in ensuring a stable and prosperous future for the nation. The overthrow of a democratically elected government in a nation of 25 million people that is bigger than Lagos and even Kano State will resonate in Africa. Niger's coup follows others since 2020 in Burkina Faso, Chad, Guinea, Mali, and Sudan. The role of ECOWAS in all this is that an economic and political regional organization comprising of West African nations, 15 West African nations, plays a vital role in addressing the challenges faced by Niger Republic. As a member of the ECOWAS since its inception in 1975, Niger benefits from the regional cooperation and solidarity in dealing with complex issues. ECOWAS has initiated several security-related mechanisms such as the ECOWAS Standby Force and the Multinational Joint Task Force to counter terrorism insurgencies in the region. ECOWAS collaborative efforts aim to strengthen Niger's capacity to combat terrorism activities and maintain peace. But with this recent twist, what is the fate of the ECOWAS in Niger? In conjunction with international partners, provide humanitarian aid and support to countries affected by crisis. The organization's intervention in Niger have aimed to alleviate the issue of the coup. So today, we'll be discussing mainly with an international expert in person of Ambassador Ahmed Bolori, who is also a senior special assistant senior special advisor, to the governor of Kogi State on public relations. So we'll take a very short break, and when we return, we start up with the conversation.
In the event the authorities' demands are not met within 1 week, take all measures necessary to restore constitutional order in the Republic of Niger. Such measures may include the use of force. To this effect, the chiefs of defense staff of ECOWAS are to meet immediately. Hold accountable all those responsible for violence and terror against lives and properties of innocent citizens and residents of Niger. Condemn the pronouncement of support by foreign governments and foreign private military contractors. Express appreciation to the various governments and partners for their stance and solidarity with ECOWAS. Appoint and dispatch a special representative of the chair of the authority to Niger immediately to deliver the demands of the authority. In the meantime, the following measures are to be applied with immediate effect. 1. Closure of land and air borders between ECOWAS countries and Niger. 2. Institution of ECOWAS no-fly zone on all commercial flights to and from Niger. Suspension of all commercial and financial transactions between ECOWAS member states and Niger. Freeze all service transactions, including energy transactions. Freeze assets of the Republic of Niger in ECOWAS central banks. Freeze of assets of the Niger state and the state enterprises and parastatals in commercial banks. Suspension of Niger from all financial assistance and transactions with all financial institutions, particularly EBID and BOAD. Calls WAMU and all other regional bodies to implement this decision. Impose travel ban and asset freeze for the military officials involved in the coup attempt. The same applies to their family members and the civilians who accept to participate in any institutions or government established by these military officials.
I want us to be strong, forceful, and resolute about the survivor of Bassum, as well as the freedom and restoration of the constitutionally elected body in the Niger Republic. I want to say welcome and thank you very much. But no more time for us to sign a warning signal. It's time for action, and we should walk our talks.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we would realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite.
This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of ASO Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, ASO Television DSTV Channel 392, Star Times Terrestrial Channel 127, Free TV Channel 507, People's TV Channel 285, and UHF Channel 38.
Welcome back from that short break. And just before the break, I did inform you of the present situation in Niger. And you know, definitely the president has made his remarks before now. That's the president of ECOWAS and even the chairman of ECOWAS, which you just listened to. So, Ambassador, good afternoon and welcome to the afternoon edition.
Yeah, afternoon. Thanks for having me.
It's nice having you in this studio today because I know for some time now you understand the West African terrain. And what's your take on the present condition in Niger Republic?
To begin with, coups are generally things that are resulted from many factors. But before looking at the factors that would really lead to coup, you have to look at the situation of Niger. Niger is a small economy with a very vast geography and a lots of environmental potentials and many untapped resources, others unaccounted for. And they have had a long history with France, and they are one of the countries that France has been benefiting from the printing of currency, keeping foreign reserve, controlling economy directly and indirectly, having influence over them from language, culture, and many other economic relations. This coup that has happened, in a way, is really terribly going to affect the Niger economy. The Nigerian population will be affected terribly because it came as a shock. Any major political move that will be taken has to have certain steps that must be taken before you transit. If you are talking about regime change or change in the dynamics of how the power of the country is being run, then certain political measures must be taken. But this one, in this case, is a military coup taken over by someone who understands the corridors of power, by someone who is the head of the presidential guards. In Nigeria, is similar to, let's say, commander of the Guards Brigade. This is a man who has been there since 2011. He's been there for solid 12 years and has served under 2 presidents. And serving under the first president means he has served having this one as a subordinate to that president. So he has seen this man, he has studied this man, he knows the strengths and the weaknesses of this man, and he knows how to get him. That is why the coup itself was actually, it didn't come with any much, investment of energy. He was just someone who understands, it's just like your wife in the house. She understands the bedroom. Just to lock up here and there, and before you know, things will now turn upside down. So this is a big shock, not only to Niger, but also to the larger ECOWAS West African sub-region. Because when you look at the map of Africa, you look at Sudan. From Sudan is going to be on a straight line.
Yes.
Sudan is neighboring Chad. Sudan is under military control. And Sudan is neighboring Chad. Chad is neighboring Niger. Niger is neighboring Burkina Faso. Mali neighboring Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso neighboring Guinea. It's on a straight line. About 5 or 6 countries. And if something is not done, this is going to escalate and is going to continue. And being on a straight line is going to give them a geographic advantage because they are on a very straight line. It's going to give them advantage in terms of military. It's going to give them advantage in terms of economy, because if you close up their borders and they decide to open borders for each other, they will move to as much as 5 to 6 countries. That is if they are able to communicate among themselves. And this is posing serious danger. The measure, for example, taken by the ECOWAS leadership as led by our president, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to say they have given 1 week and they have given certain conditions, of which, number 1, they should unconditionally release President Bazoum and ensure that he takes over from where he stopped, and then the military should go back to their barracks and some certain conditions to say they do not accept the coup. This is not done only to protect Niger. It's done to protect West Africa. Because if this is not done, the way they are picking one after the other, the next could be anyone among the ECOWAS countries. It could be anyone. So when injustice is done to another person and you do not talk, the next injustice, would come to you and you have no one to talk about it. So this is a war of necessity. This is a war of necessity. If having a country entails protecting your sovereignty, this is the time to protect the sovereignty of your country. If not, I was discussing with someone who is a military expert, and he was telling me loosely, not that he has taken position already. He said, look, it is in the minds of many military personnel in many other countries, unlike Nigeria. In Nigeria, the military in Nigeria, thank God, have now come to terms to accept that we have passed the military regime. There is no junta any longer. From 1999 to this time, any noise you hear is a mere rumor. The military in Nigeria are the most loyal in this West African sub-region, that nobody in the military cycle, especially the middle ranking and senior officers, nobody among them is ever thinking of coup, because they know we have undergone it through smooth and rough means and manner. But the rest of the African countries, it is the objective of most of the military, senior military personnel to turn government and take it over for themselves. Because as a young officer, your main aim is to grow to be a middle ranking officer and subsequently a senior officer. But when you reach the peak, the next, it's like the hierarchy of needs. Yeah. The next is for you to be thinking about power. That who is this man that has come through political means, who was nobody when I joined the army, and now is the one giving directives? Why not me? So you see, that is why even in Niger, you see the acceptability among the military ranks is high. All these francophone countries, it's unlike in Nigeria. Even in Ghana, it will not work as it has worked in Niger. We have some similarities. The Anglophone countries have the tendency of higher loyalty in their military, and the tendency of their military personnel understanding that coup is not going to work. Maybe this could largely have to do with the orientation we had during the colonial era or whatever. I have not digged much into that. But this is the reason, and this is the situation on ground.
But why do you think the civilian population in Niger seems to be supporting the present leadership?
Well, everywhere you see people are aggrieved. Even in Nigeria, just turn the calendar backward, just towards the election. And even recently, go on social media, you will see many citizens who do not understand direction. No well-meaning citizen will think of military coup or military takeover. Let me make something categorically clear. The worst civilian rule is better than the best military rule. In the context of today's reality, the worst civilian rule is better than the best of a military rule. In today's reality, anybody you see supporting coup in Niger is a person who is aggrieved. It's just like you in this TV station. Whatever problem you might have with the management, if you are working well and you understand how things are and you understand the politics of governing the station, you will never ever think that you will want not even a military man, a police officer to come and be in charge of this place, or even a civil defense, even road safety. You would want to maintain someone among the ranks and someone who understands the business. Because military by training are trained to kill. They are trained to kill and protect through bloody and military means. That is the main objective. Any other thing is secondary and tertiary. So it's not surprising to see citizens of Niger, some microscopic few, supporting the military takeover. Just look at it. Even Boko Haram have sympathizers. The IPOP people have sympathizers. The bandits have sympathizers. So anything you bring, the mind, the human mind, is so big that whatever you put to occupy it, you know, it will accommodate and still leave a lot of space. And those who don't have things running, better things running in their mind, the mind will be devil's workshop, and they will be welcoming of such kind of ill developments.
But in this particular case, now that Burkina Faso and Mali military juntas have shown that, yes, they are going to support the present leadership in Niger Republic, what was the implication of that?
Ordinarily, this is something we should not accept and expect. Of course, they know, just as the rest of the civilian leaders are trying to protect the sovereignty of their seat and their country, these people are also doing the same on the other hand. Yeah. Because if, you know, it's like I don't want to use the word gambling. Yeah. But for the benefit of this discussion, permit me to use the word gambling. It's like gambling. Both parties of the gambling, or let me use a court case. Any judgment that is done will bring about precedence of something happening and will inform future decisions. If the democratically elected leaders of ECOWAS and their other supporters succeed in reinstating President Bazoum, then those other people in Mali, Burkina Faso, and the rest you have mentioned will be threatened by that development because they will feel that they will be next. Just as the democratically elected leaders now feel if they don't do anything about this development, this negative development, then they will be next. So this is a situation where you have two parties on two sides, each struggling to sustain what they believe in. So it's not surprising. It's not surprising. In fact, expect retaliation. Not just verbal talks. Expect retaliation from them. Military retaliation.
So in this particular situation now, if the ECOWAS is to intervene militarily in Niger Republic, don't you think it will spill over to or in terms of refugee coming to Nigeria despite our current situation?
You see, this, I will remind you, is 2023. Many people are more informed now in terms of military strategy and many other, you know, techniques that people have. Any situation you get into without sitting to strategize and understand the ways and manners, you would get to things as they come. Then you would fail. I expect that from the way things are, from the way the leadership of ECOWAS under President Tinubu has summoned the rest of the leaders concerned and other stakeholders to sit and discuss and come out with policies and plans on how to engage this situation. I expect that this concern you're raising will not be an issue. One. Two, the same strategy that has been employed by the Chiani-led coup in Niger could be adopted in another way. Mind you, this was a bloodless coup. This is a coup that was organized by an insider who understands the terrain, who understands the seat of power in that particular place. and decides to cordon, seal the place, make his strategies, make it silently, do a lot of other things and detain the gentleman, and then come out to say we've taken over power. Usually it doesn't happen like this. There are many ways to it. Now, the Niger army, the military in Niger, they don't have navy. I think they have air force and army. And I think all combined, I don't want to give a wrong information. If I am not wrong, I am not sure. I don't think they are more than 12,000 or 13,000. I am not sure. Active personnel, I don't mean those in reserve or others they have. I don't think they are more than that. Now, the Chiani-led perpetrated government cannot boast to this number of military personnel, cannot boast to even half of them at the same time to bring them to the center. The ECOWAS can show power by, engaging with the man and showing him power and other military strategies to scare him and reach to terms and negotiate. Because they've given 1 week. I am telling you, nothing really serious might happen at the end of the week. But then, this is a step. And I am not in position to say this is the military strategy they will follow. But I believe, with the engagement of the chiefs of defense staff or the various African, ECOWAS countries, strategy will be brought, and other policy makers will look at it and see how they will prevent, the fears we have about, the influx of refugees, among other critical humanitarian situations that may arise as a result of the military campaign or military intervention that the ECOWAS states are planning. I believe, more ways and efforts will be put in place to tackle this and prevent it from happening. Because the essence at the end of the day is not to bring any hardship to the Nigerian population.
Who are in support of this government?
Who are in support of or not in support of the military. Because when things like this come, it's going to be like a rainfall. The believers and the unbelievers all would have a touch and drop of the water. So it's going to be all-inclusive, and therefore the essence, like I have said, is to reinstate the democratically elected leader of Niger back to where he's supposed to be for democracy to continue to reign.
I'll take it from there, because the issue of the reinstatement of the President Mohamed Bazoum back to leadership, definitely, it would be a very huge tax amongst the Nigerians, even across the African, the sub-Saharan sub-region. So, but then there are so many issues with respect to that, because we know he made some statement during his last interview with BBC, which I believe also prompted for such action. So we'll take a very short break, and then when we return, we continue with the conversation on the implication of the Nigerian coup in the ECOWAS region.
Sir, can you please give us the permission to search you? You can go.
Is this a movie? If it happened,
officer, I beg carry and go station. When our Oga come, you come meet her for there.
Hey, Mr. Man, I cannot do that.
Tell your Oga to come to our station when he returns.
Am I in a movie? If it happen,
Mama, please.
Mama, please.
Thank God you're here. Do the needful.
Mama, please, just 3 weeks now.
Madam, why did you invite us to come help chase your tenants now?
This is a civil matter now.
Is this a movie? If it happen,
if we follow
the new police law,
if it happen.
Welcome back from the short break, and still with us here is Ambassador Umar Bolori, And we've been discussing the issue. Ahmed Umar Boroi, I mean to say, is the special advisor to the governor on public relations, governor of Kogi State, and also is an expert in international affairs and diplomacy. So, Ambassador, before the break, we were discussing the issue of Bazoum, the possibility of him returning back to power. With what he said during his last interview, and if you listen to that particular video, you get to understand that there is this action that is being taken by the Francophone countries to get rid of France in their country, which to a greater extent, I believe, that also played a role in the military hosting him out. And the thought as at then was that probably the military was working for the France because of his interview speech that no, he doesn't want anything that has to do with the safer, he doesn't want France intervention, military intervention in the country anymore. So those statements could have spited the military to take over. And the military understanding the sensibility of the civilians in the country, that yes, what this man said probably could have been what prompted them, but at the same time, they are also there for themselves. And now they're also assuring the people that, look, the France intervention is also something we are going to kick out. How can this play with respect to the intervention of France and other Western countries? Most especially France and Germany, just yesterday, they have so much interest on military intervention in the country if nothing happened.
Now, there are many ways of understanding this. Now, first, let me explain this. Truly, France has become, or has been for a very long time, parasitic. France has held these Francophone countries by the throat, from printing their currency to reserving their foreign reserve and controlling many aspects of the economy and influencing many things. France, like the rest of the Western world, just that their own is quite obvious and is at a different level. If not, all of us in Africa are in a way, victims of Western powers. And any African leader that would come out to protest that, well, historically, people like President Muammar Gaddafi of Libya, the situation
he faced.
He faced. And what happened is a testimony to, the way and manner the West is so, bent on insisting to be parasitic. Africa has become like a cow that the West will come to feed with few dried grass and tap the milk, and from the milk, here in the north, they get cheese, manshanu, and many other things you get from the milk itself, many other things, and whatever that will come out of that. And after milking the cow, they take the milk, process, and bring back to sell it to us.
Cheese and the rest.
Cheese and the rest. This is a loose example. African leaders must raise up to that. And this is a challenge mainly on economies like Nigeria. When they were talking about the CFA and how the ECOWAS sub-region, the West African sub-region, would come up, or the need for them to come up with the ECO currency, if you recall.
Yeah, I remember.
I said, look, this is an opportunity for Nigeria to bring forth the proposal of using the Naira. Nigeria alone, the economy of Nigeria, as compared to the rest of the ECOWAS countries, the economy of Nigeria is greater than the entire ECOWAS countries combined. in terms of population, in terms of resources, in terms of, you know, human capital, in terms of many other things, military strength, and every other thing you will think of. It could have been an opportunity for Nigeria to bring up the proposal or the idea of having the Naira to be the dominant currency of trade among these countries. That was what I was expecting when the free trade zone matter was coming up at the larger scale of you know, the African Union level. So now back to the situation in Niger. There is a conspiracy theory that video clip you're talking about, where President Bazoum was talking about, you know, getting rid of the CFA and the rest. Many believed that that was the reason why he was removed from power, and it was designed by France to remove him from power because of that statement. But I would disagree with that. Why? Because other factors that influence the guts of the presidential guards of Niger, or the military of Niger, under the Chiani-led, group to take over power, was the fact that Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea, and all these neighbors, were taken over by the military. And nobody has done anything against that, and they are moving well. And that is a serious point of influence that would influence anybody to say, okay, it is safe to take over power. But then, why am I saying this is a conspiracy? It's because when you look at it, Mali and Burkina Faso, including Guinea, all of them are making efforts to fight France. In fact, recently I read that one of them has even removed officially the French language as the official language and adopted other local dialects and languages.
About 75.
Yes, as their own official languages. And this is against France. And I have read again that I think Burkina Faso has restricted the exportation of uranium and other minerals to France. And I have read again that many other efforts have been made by these countries to cut off with France. And I have read again that these countries are making efforts to align with Russia. I have read again, on and on and on and on. And all these are against France. And therefore, France will not make the mistake of supporting military coup to protect their interests. I don't agree with that.
But they can use ECOWAS to invade Niger.
Of course. Using ECOWAS, I don't understand.
For now, France and Germany, I think they're in support of the ECOWAS mission.
Yeah, of course. France would have followed a political means to remove maybe the PND party and bring another person, or remove Bazoum and bring another person, or whatever that it will be, that their interests will know. I am not saying France's interests and the military leadership will never align. It has happened in Chad. In Chad, the Chadian government is a military government. But France is in support because the Chadian, military regime is not against France and will continue to go well with France, just as other countries are going well with the West. So I think this is a conspiracy theory that must be corrected.
What role do you think the Chadian president could have played when he visited Mohamed Bazoum? Because the clip was all over the internet yesterday. And apart from Mohamed, we had to visit also Chiani. Probably, can he play a major role in making sure that there is a smooth transition between them?
You see, the Chadian military regime is unlike the rest of them. It's not really a coup. The Chadian military regime is not a coup. First, to get it right, we must not necessarily, don't say I am contradicting myself, I'm trying to bring something clear.
Okay.
It is not a must that we must adopt democracy as a form of government. It is not necessary. Had it been the military would work, I would have said the military should go well. But I have said in the beginning of this interview that the military is not for us. That the worst civilian rule is better than the best military rule. But in Chad, the history they've had, the orientation of the people, and the way the economy has been designed. You know, the present government in Chad is supported by the people and is accepted by the people and is working for the people. Even though many disadvantages, hidden disadvantages behind the scenes are attached, such as the interests of France and the rest. But then, in terms of political instability, that seems to be working for them. So one man's meat is another man's poison.
So on a very last note, and why is the ECOWAS taking a major stand now? Because we've seen this military taking over some of the states across the West African country.
It's because it keeps growing. They are now awakened. And maybe this is courtesy of the Tinubu-led leadership of ECOWAS. Maybe President Tinubu is someone who has the foresight of ensuring that there is regional growth and regional political stability. In fact, his actions, or the actions under his leadership, is reaffirming the confidence of many people, such as myself, that yes, this man has an agenda for the larger West African sub-region. That this man is committed to understanding the dynamics around. And mind you, the stability of any of these countries in ECOWAS would really translate to internal development of Nigeria. So maybe in the past, they have not been awakened. But now that these things keep growing by the day, picking one after the other, now they are awakened. And I believe this will lead to something fruitful, and this would eventually lead to, the prevention of coups, taking over by military in other countries. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Umar Ahmed Bolori, a special advisor to the governor of Kogi State on public relations, and is also an international affairs and diplomacy expert, discussing on the issue of the coup in Niger Republic and its implication in the ECOWAS sub-region. The coup in Niger Republic is something that is very, very important, and I believe that is why the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is taking a stand on how to reduce the issue of coup in the ECOWAS region as the chairman of that particular region, of the chairman of the sub-Saharan African region. So this is how far we can go today on the afternoon edition. My name is Isanu. Have a wonderful day and stay blessed while we pray for the peace in that particular region.